Getting professional motion graphics no longer requires any expensive software or years of experience, because I found a simple workflow inside Higgsfield that is going to give you the highest quality motion graphics in no time at all. Today I am going to walk you through the entire process for making pro-level motion graphics with Higgsfield, from setup to export. Open Higgsfield and go to the video tab at the top of the navigation. Click on Vibe Motion, and that is the feature we are working in for everything in this video. If you do not have a Higgsfield account yet, the link is in the description. The reason Vibe Motion produces professional motion graphics instead of regular AI video is because it generates code instead of footage. That gives you sharp edges, readable text, precise colors, and animation that follows exactly what you describe. When you describe a bar chart building from July to December, it generates exactly in that order. Click Start from scratch for every graphic in this video. The layout, the animation, the color palette, all of it comes entirely from the prompt. That means no reference images, design files, or any pre-built assets. All three builds go from an empty text box to a finished animation. The workflow for all three is the same. Write the prompt, generate, review the output, and use change details to swap in specific content. Once you have run through it once, the others are just a different prompt in the same flow. The reason this workflow is repeatable is that the prompt is the only variable. What you are building here is a prompt that works. And once you have a prompt that works for a dashboard, you have the template for every dashboard you will ever need to make in Vibe Motion. The first motion graphic is the cinematic data dashboard. Traditionally, building something like this would mean opening After Effects, laying out every element by hand, keyframing each animation, and spending several hours getting the chart timing and the typography right. We are producing the same quality in one prompt, so paste in this prompt. Every dashboard that looks professional follows the same layout. One big number at the top that the viewer notices first. A few charts in the middle that show the same data from different angles. And a row of specific numbers at the bottom that fill in the details. You can swap in any topic, any brand, any reporting period, and it still works. For the numbers at the bottom, pick 4 to 6 that each tell a different part of the story. 5 numbers, 5 different questions, and 1 complete picture. When you build this for a real client, just swap these for whatever numbers matter most to them. When the result comes back, the dashboard animates as a complete scene. The bar chart builds from July to December in sequence. The ring fills to 87%. The trend line draws itself point by point. Everything moves in order from the top number down through the rest of the data. After the generation finishes and a couple of tweaks, click Change Details at the top right. You can update any title, subtitle, or color without touching the animation at all. The layout stays exactly as it was, and you are just swapping the content inside it. Build the framework once and use it for every client or reporting period after that. If you need a vertical version or any other size, change the aspect ratio in the settings after generation. Vibe Motion adjusts the whole layout for you, so the same prompt gives you every format you need. This layout works for any data story, not just business performance. The layout stays the same, but only the content changes. But the next graphic shows a process, and the way it does that is on a completely different visual level. The second motion graphic is a 3D cinematic workflow diagram. Choose Start from scratch and paste in this prompt. There is one principle in this prompt worth understanding, because it is what determines whether a 3D graphic in Vibe Motion looks like a diagram or a cinematic production asset. In this prompt, the very first thing described is the environment's deep black backdrop, a subtle cyan light, and dust particles floating in the air. The environment is the visual world that everything else lives inside. It sets the color, the mood, and the quality for every element that follows. Describe the environment first, with the specific light source, the backdrop tone, the atmosphere, then describe what goes inside it. That order is the difference between a generic output and something that looks designed. When the output comes back, you get 5 glowing 3D platforms in a row. The camera slowly moves across them one by one, and as it reaches each one, it lights up. A cyan line connects it to the next, and the label appears on it. Once all 5 are connected, a pulse of energy shoots through the whole chain, and everything lights up together. That final moment is what makes the whole animation feel like it paid off. The contents of each label on each platform are swappable through change details. Everything else, the environment, the camera movement, the energy line, the final pulse, stays exactly the same. So this prompt works for any 5-step process you want to show. The dark backdrop is the right environment for anything in the tech, AI, or digital workflow space. But the environment first principle works across completely different visual styles, and knowing the variations gives you a set of ready-made environments to pull from for any project. The label set is what makes this prompt fully reusable outside of content creation workflows. So if you are showing a client onboarding process, the labels become inquiry, proposal, onboarding, delivery, handoff. Basically, any process that has a clear beginning, a clear end, and steps that happen in order will work perfectly with this prompt. The third motion graphic is a SaaS messaging app ad. Choose Start from Scratch and paste in this prompt. Unlike the first two, this prompt does not describe a layout, it describes events. When you are building any UI interaction graphic in Vibe Motion, you are not describing what the final screen looks like, but rather what happens on that screen. So in this prompt, you have a message sliding in, a typing indicator appearing, a reply coming in, a file dropping below it, a heart reaction floating up, a voice message landing, a notification coming in from the top, the phone tilting, and then the relay word mark and tagline showing up at the end. Every single one of those is its own event, written out in the exact order you want them to happen. Vibe Motion follows that order exactly. When the output comes back, everything plays through in exactly that sequence. You watch the conversation build up message by message on screen, the phone tilts right when it is supposed to, and at the end, the relay word mark and tagline come in exactly the way a real product ad closes. That is what makes the viewer feel like the product is working right in front of them, and that is what makes it look like a real ad. This works for any product, whether it is a finance tool, a scheduling app, or anything else with a UI. Just figure out the main thing the product does, break it down into 5 to 8 moments, and write them in the order they would actually happen. Whatever sequence you write is the story the animation tells. One thing that helps is keeping each event to one sentence. If you need 2 sentences to describe something, it is probably 2 separate events. Split it up. The shorter and more specific each line is, the more precisely Vibe Motion follows it. Everything you see in this ad, the app name, the friends message, the reply message, the tagline, all of it can be changed through change details. One thing that makes UI prompts less effective is describing what the screen looks like instead of what happens on it. Show a phone with 5 notifications on it gives you something static. Show each notification sliding in one at a time from the top, with a half-second gap between each one, gives you something that actually moves with intention. Just describe what the tool looks like and what it does, and Vibe Motion builds it. Now that you've seen all 3 builds, here are 3 things that will make every motion graphic you create in Vibe Motion better. These are not specific to any one type, and they apply every time. The first one is knowing when to use change details and when to start over with a fresh prompt. Change details is basically for when the output is already good and you just need to swap something out. If you want to change the actual layout or add something that was not in the original prompt, just start fresh. It sounds like more work, but it is actually faster. The second one is about the numbers you put in your prompt. When you are building a data graphic, use specific numbers, not round ones. There is a big difference between a KPI that says 38,290 and one that says 40,000. The second one looks made up, but the first one looks like it came from an actual report. The third one is what to do when the output comes back and it is not quite right. The fix is almost always in the prompt, not in change details. Go back and look at what was not specific enough. If something appeared in the wrong spot, describe exactly where it should be. Most of the time, it comes down to one of 3 things. Find out what is wrong, fix it in the prompt, and run it again, because that usually solves the problem. If you want to try Vibe Motion and start building your own motion graphics, the link to Higgsfield is in the description below. Vibe Motion can produce a lot more than the 3 types we built today, and the prompting approach in this video works across all of it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.